What I set out to do was, I call it like an actionable report. And just for context, in addition to getting, I work for an advertising agency doing their corporate PR and comms. So in addition to getting our brands, our clients earned media coverage in the press, I'm also tasked with getting our execs and our brand reps on stages and panels where then they can get residual earned media and visibility for the brand and themselves. So it's like a double win when you're trying to provide added value for CEOs and CMOs and stuff. So for my capstone project, I wanted to create an actionable report that would give me the authority based on research and data, of course, to advise my clients on the best ideas to pitch for stages, but not only to get on the stage to get them approved by by whoever the event planner is, but that they would be successful. And by successful, meaning like highly rated, people talk about them, they get in the press, maybe bloggers and leading voices talk about it. So I chose in this case ChatGPT 5.0 because I already have a paid version and I wanted to, really explore it. And I chose South by Southwest because that's coming up soon and I need to get on it. So basically, I kept it really simple, right? So the first thing that I did, and this is a tip that I got from Pete in our coaching session, was to collaborate with ChatGPT on my prompt. So I did the pop uh, format, but then we collabed on questions and it was asking me questions and it was, you know, making it more interesting so that my prompt was better. And then when I finally got to a place that the prompt was what I wanted, I moved to a clean tab, which I also think is another tip from Pete, which I think is important for me to work. Like I have one GPT that's like this long running stream of stuff. And then I use clean tabs for deeper research because then I don't have to scroll as far and I'm sort of concentrated on the work that I'm doing. And that really helped me. So I was cutting it down, I culled it, I was refining it. I had to eliminate a lot of unnecessary information. Like I think ChatGPT is super eager. It's like a major people pleaser. And so it really just gives you too much. And you're like, no, I need to cull it down. So I was able to do that. I specified further. And then I gave it, the definition on how I wanted the output. So it came back to me it came back with 10 of these. Sorry, I forgot I asked for 10. And what it did was go through South by Southwest 24 and 25 to find out what stages happen and then which ones were talked about subsequently, either by bloggers or third party or, uh, the press, basically. So I like the way it broke it down for me in my job. This layout and this setup is very visually and easy for me to understand. So basically, I found it to be really helpful. This and it gave me like a quote and everything. So I was like, okay, this is a great place to start. But then I was like, wait, I want to see it even more culled down and looking like a chart. So it gave me this. But then I realized this was almost too much, too lean. And then I asked it to say, go back and take everything that we talked about and tell me what I need to do for 2026. So this is where I would be able to advise my clients on this is what worked before, and this is where I think you should go. So it was really helpful exercise. I just wanted to include this part as like watch out. So the challenges that I had were like getting behind paywalls for things that I needed information for, separating promotional information. Like it kept giving me this reference for this thing Quill, and I was like, "Ooh, Quill, is that some magazine I never heard of?" Turns out it's a podcasting maker company, and so of course they're like writing about the importance of voice and all that stuff because they're trying to sell themselves. I've thought that it could have sometimes too much information and can be too generic. So I would need to go back in and add my brand voice. And the output is still a lot of work, like visual language edits. And I think that's what Allison was getting at too. And also just as like being a Gen Xer, I don't know. I just don't have 100% confidence in it yet. Like I think I need to keep doing it obviously to gain the confidence. But I will say the advantages, speed, obviously, the writing is good. The language is good. I like it. I felt like it was a really collaborative and positive workmate, which is very important. And I really liked that it was unsiloed. Like normally in my job, I have to go to the creative, the strategist, the account person, the CEO. And in a GPT, you get everybody unsiloed. So that was it. Woo! I made it with 10 seconds to spare.
12, no less. Wow, fantastic. Um, Wonderful. I'm really excited. I love the rise of brand whispering. And
Yeah.
oh, there we go. All right. I want to open it up to questions and comments from the class.
Great, well done.
Yeah, very cool. And I think that if the, the next version, if you wanted to, once you narrow it down, I mean, what I found challenging is I felt like it would, to your point, where it went from too much to too little. And then when I try to go back and be like, hang on, what happened to this? Like Peter and I were working on like creating a brand for my consulting business. And I gave it some feedback, and then suddenly like the visual element changed. It changed from like a swirl to a bullseye. And I was like, hang on, like where did that come from? And kind of why did you lose that other thing? So sometimes I think that it drops
Yeah.
things without being asked to make that change.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I like having on a clean tab, because then you can go back easier and find it. You're like, wait, I saw something. It clicked in your brain, and then you can go back just in that tab to find it. But I agree that happens to me a lot. It goes too lean.
Yeah. So great stuff. I think I have mostly sort of tips more than sort of broader notes on this, in that there might be some ways to eliminate a few of those pain points. So the one you were just talking about, where a chat GPT or whatever will regenerate, when it regenerates an answer or goes further, edits something you're working on, it'll do unexpected changes. That's super common. And being more targeted about those, you can use Canvas if you're using ChatGPT, or artifacts in Claude. But basically, it's, the editing panel where you can be much more targeted about the parts you want to change. And you can obviously also go in there and edit the output yourself manually. So that's one tip. I think, like we discussed in our session, yeah, doing the separate tabs is great, and that keeps, things organized. Here's your deep research, here's your ongoing chat. Just as a potentially useful tip there, you can uh, you could, if you wanted to, combine all those into a ChatGPT project. As long as they're not discussions within a custom GPT, you should be able to combine those, so that then when you create more chats from within the project, it will have all that context. And it'll still be clean. There'll be clean chats separated, but they'll all have, and you'll be able to give them all the same context for like universal files. A project, we didn't talk much about them in the course, but it's similar to a custom GPT, but you use them sort of differently and for different purposes. So for something that is like you're doing multiple different chats with multiple different tools within a ChatGPT chat, no, that's a more appropriate use for a project, because then it's like it's not starting from scratch every time. Like, what are
Yeah.
we even
Yeah.
talking about here? Like, so that might be helpful to you. The
Okay.
paywall thing, yeah, we discussed this too when we were chatting about it. It's a difficult problem, right? Because more and more sites are starting to be very wise to AI scraping their content, whether they're media sites or not. And this is where sort of the different search engines and comparing their outputs for the specific thing you're looking for might be helpful. Generally, Perplexity has been better, but it sounds like it wasn't a good, a universally good solution for you. So, most of the major AIs now have different, have web search, and it's kind of a matter of figuring out who's kind of not necessarily bypassing that, but like has looking at alternative sources to give you something that's at least close.
I wanted to add that I think a GPT for South by Southwest submissions and preparations would be really useful to the whole wide world if made general and shared publicly. And I actually think that there's probably a marketing campaign you can run around the work that you're doing right now. Like, what if you documented how you're using AI to make this South by Southwest preparation assistant, and then made a blog post sharing that with whoever wanted to use it? I think it'd probably bring a lot of interesting type of attention your way, and might be worth considering.